Okay. Hi, Abraham. I loved that airplane analogy when you talked about it's a lot more fun to go fast and soar. And as part of that, I thought I heard you say, and in 20 days you can be resistant free. Well, tell me about that already.
Well, as you are reaching in a determined way for the path of least resistance,
Yes.
anything that is resistant within you will certainly pop up within those 20 days. And as you are deliberately reaching for the path of least resistance and finding it, then you will have shifted your vibration on every subject that is important, and you would be resistant free. You just have to want to feel good more than anything else. That's the only criteria that is necessary in order for you to achieve this. You have to really want to feel good. You have to want to feel good so much that you're willing to reach for a better feeling thought when you are in the midst of one that doesn't feel so good.
Well, that I like. I like feeling good.
We've been teasing you. We say sometimes we
Well-
think that it would be better for you if instead of emotions, you had this creeping fungus that was taking over your body.
Mm-hmm.
And then you would have more of a motivation to slow the fungus, where you tend to tolerate negative emotion because you cannot see the negative result of them so quickly, you see.
Yes.
And so you just have to decide how important it is for you to feel good. And sometimes it's not all that important for you to feel good because you've gotten along pretty well with some reasonable resistance within your experience. And it usually isn't until the resistance gets pretty big that any of you make a very strong effort to get rid of it. That's why we love terminally ill cases, because once you've reached the place where the doctors have said, we can do nothing more for you, that's usually at the first point that you begin to pay attention to what you're thinking. In other words, oh, you mean there's nothing else you can chop off of me, or there's no more pill you can give me, or there's no other possible method? You mean I'm going to have to align my energy? Well, all right then. And within this 20 days, you have to already have come to this place where you want to align your energies. Not because you're trying to fix something that is broken, but because you genuinely, with all of your heart, want so much to be connected to Source that you are not willing to tolerate for very long thoughts that keep you from it. Nothing
Yes.
is more important than that I feel good. That's
Yes.
the mindset that you have to be at. Nothing is more important than that I feel good. And that doesn't mean getting rid of things that don't feel good, because you can't. You can't rid even your familiar circumstances with things. In other words, you can't make people go away. You can't make people stop thinking about you. You can't rid the world of terrorists. You can't rid the world of disease. You can't get rid of the things that need to be gone. You've got to decide, I'm going to find a path of least resistance relative to this. I'm going to find a way of either thinking about this in a way that feels good, or I'm going to find a way of not thinking about this. But this is no longer going to be an issue that keeps me from allowing the well-being that would be there if I were not doing this. Nothing is that important.
So the starting point is any issue that you have.
The
If
starting
it's-
point is being determined that you're going to feel good no matter what. And
Okay.
then sifting through your life for things that feel good. And you can hear right away. So we say sifting through your life for things that feel good. And you say, well, I think I'll start with this issue. And we say, well, now that's just dumb. We said, reaching into your life for things that feel good. And your human tendency right away is, oh, well, then I'll deal with the issues. And we say, you don't have to deal with the issue. Don't activate the issue. Start looking for things that feel good. Start with something easy. Turn your attention toward things that feel good. And you say, that's easy under some conditions than others. What if I find myself in a situation where I'm looking right at something that makes me feel bad? And I can't get away from it no matter how hard I try. It's so in my face. And we say, there's where your real work begins. That's where you say, I'm going to take some baby steps. I might not be able to get myself completely away from this resistance, but I sure can pick a path of less resistance. And so you just start. You just try to find something that feels better. Try to change the subject if you can. That's the fastest, easiest way. But if it keeps coming up, then you may want to find the path of least resistance. And you get so good at it. You get so good at it that after you've got a few things conquered, so to speak, or deactivated, then you can just say, oh, well, I can do to you just what I did to those other things. I just don't have to think about you anymore. You're a non-issue to me. You're a non-issue to me.
Okay, so when you get over here to the feeling good side, and something that makes you feel good, and So it's in that process when something comes up. Like when you said that, the first thing that came to me was the beach. Think of something that, but then I had some negative things about getting to the beach and yada, 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 So that's then when you go back and start dealing with those and start making those feeling a little bit better.
Little by little by little, but not trying to take them all at once. And the thing that we most want you to focus upon is we don't want you to see this big bag of issues that you're trying to diffuse. We want you instead to see this moment that I want to feel good, and this moment that I want to feel good. In other words, sometimes we think that you've got all of this work that needs to be done, and you're hoping that you'll get your work done before you die. And the work to many of you feels like all of these issues that you have to overcome or understand or conquer. And so it's like you're tenaciously out there just digging up stuff so that you can fix it. And we're wanting you to understand that the way you're wanting to spend this moment is by tending to your hose, by opening the flow, by opening your valve. In other words, the best use of this moment is by finding something to use as your reason to allow the energy to flow.
So go fast and soar.
There are no issues to deal with. We wanted to go back to where you began with us about the analogy of the airplane and how much more fun it is to go fast with no resistance. Mm-hmm. And we want to say to you that sometimes going slower is the best choice in the moment. Sometimes going faster is the best choice. In other words, there's no perfection in going fast, and there's no wrongdoing in going slow. In other words, sometimes slowing and savoring is the way. We watched Jerry and Esther as they picked up their motor coach, and Esther had a sort of mindset that, well, we're only going to be in this area for a short period of time, and this is the place where the experts really are. So if there's anything that needs to be tweaked into perfection, we better get it done while we're here. And so she got herself in a sort of fixing it mode. In other words, she was sort of scouring the thing from top to bottom, wanting to make sure that if there was anything wrong, she had it on her list so that they could tend to it. And finally, after several days of that, which was very wearing, Jerry said to Esther, I think it's time that we stop fixing and start savoring. Because it began to appear to him that as fast as she was fixing, more things were turning up. And he began to have this vision of this endless loop where they would fix one thing while they break another thing, and then they would fix one thing while they break another thing. And so he said to Esther, let's stop fixing and start savoring. And we said, that is the best mantra for life that we have ever heard. Let's stop fixing because nothing is broken. And let's start savoring because that's the way you tend to your valve and live happily ever after.
Amen.
Yes.
Thank you.